Hello, hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you as we come together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God flowing in, through, and as us. We're going to begin, as we always do, with prayer, and I will ground us in a reading today from the Daily Word, which is a wonderful reading. The word today is joy. And the affirmation, I feel joyous as I celebrate life. Each new day is a treasure filled with life's gems, found in even the most ordinary moments. Joy fills my heart when I pause to notice the wonder that surrounds me. I let my gaze linger as I watch the setting sun or close my eyes as I savor the sweetness of fresh fruit. Beneath the night sky, I breathe deeply and partake of the fresh, clean air. The beauty of the world pales in comparison to the beauty within me. I am so deeply and wondrously blessed to know my oneness with God and with all that is. There is no greater joy. I wake and praise each new day and feel newly alive. I go out into the world to share the joy of being a child of God in the abundant universe. I spread light and love to everyone I meet, trusting they will know the joy of God as I do. And the scripture, for you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work. At the works of your hands I sing for joy. Psalm 92:4. And again, the affirmation, I feel joyous as I celebrate life. And so we take this truth with us into our prayer. I invite you to just take a breath in and exhale. We breathe in and we breathe out. Again, we take a conscious breath in and a conscious breath out. We are here now. We are here now. We are here now. Here now, I remember and recognize that there is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. There is one life. That life is God. That life is Mother, Father, God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That life is your life now. That life is my life now. Divine intelligence is here now. Beautiful life is here now. Absolute truth is here now. Divine intelligence is here now. God, all of God is here now, for it neither comes nor goes. There is no spot where God is not. Where you are right here and now, God is. Where we are right here and now, God is. In the farthest reaches of space, the depths of the ocean, the depths of the earth, God is ever, ever, ever present. And so as we recognize that the all that is, the ground of all being, is present here and now, we remember and know that we are one with God and one of God. We remember and know that we are divine. We remember and know that God's intelligence is our intelligence. We remember and know that the life of God is flowing in, through, and as us. We remember and know that the love of God is our love to distribute in our world now. We remember and know that God's power is our power. And because of that, we have great possibility. Because of that, we walk through this world as creative, divine, successful, abundant, and prosperous beings. We know we are successful today. We know we are prosperous today. We know we are loved today. We know we are cared for today. We know we are comforted today. We know we have great strength within us today. We know it is not us, but it is God within us, consciousness through us, that does the work. And we are so grateful and thankful to know that. So we gather here together for the weekend service to deepen our awareness, to deepen our knowing, to celebrate our awareness, to celebrate our knowing, and to take that knowing out into the world and be the very light of the world and be the salt of the world, of the earth. For we know that the world needs more flavor. So I am so grateful and thankful to be in this community. I am so grateful and thankful for the presence and power of this community. So grateful and thankful for the lighthouse that Celebration Spiritual Center is, leading and guiding, supporting and equipping all of humanity to live its greatest life. So with joy and thanksgiving, I release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation. And together we say, amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is, and so it must be. Well, hello, beautiful people. How are you? Happy Sunday. You may notice that there's some slightly different surroundings here. We are not at home in Brooklyn. There's some work being done in our home, which is causing lots of disruption. Our bathroom is being completely redone. And so we needed to be out of our home for the month of May. And so that sparked an inspired idea. We decided to come down to Barbados. And so we are here in Barbados for the month of May. And so really operating in the wonderful consciousness of the global community that CSC is. We are connecting to you from the gem of the Caribbean Sea, as we know that many of you are connecting from all over the world and all over the United States. So, as we are grateful to be here and grateful to move through this wonderful service and this wonderful opportunity today, we would like to welcome our first-time guests. If you are joining us for the very first time here at Celebration Spiritual Center, hello, welcome. It is so good to see you. It is so good to have you. You can feel free to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're connecting in from. Not required, but you can feel free to do that. What we know and what we are confident to know is that you will receive something. There's something powerful and profound that brought you here today. And we know that you will receive something that will support you in thriving in your life this week, and also support you in living an empowered life throughout the days of your life. Now, the information you see on your screen is how you can stay in touch with us and we can stay in touch with you. This is how you access your digital connection card. So just text the word welcome to that number you see there, 347-472-1078, and you'll receive a reply with a link. Click that link. It'll take you to the digital connection card. Complete that information. The most important piece of information is your email address. Once you've submitted that, you'll receive another a message that says you're all set, and indeed you are. You'll be added to our mailing list and receive our weekly emails that we send out. We send out a newsletter on Friday. We send out a recap of the sermon on Mondays, and any other pertinent information that's needed, we share and send out to the community. But again, most importantly, we're happy that you're here, and we're confident that you will receive something very powerful, very necessary, very needful, so that you can continue to thrive, so that you can continue to know yourself as a divine, holy being. So with that said, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to tap into our news and updates, which are also reflected and will be reflected in our weekly newsletter. And then we can move forward with the message, with the music, and with the meditation. It is May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health awareness is something that we talk about all year long, and something that is very important to us as a community. We know that we can thrive together, and of course, we continue to talk about mental health and mental health awareness because we want to end the stigma. It is not just a handy slogan to say it's okay to not be okay. We believe and know that you should have your spiritual tools, your pastors, and you should also have a therapist. I am grateful for my therapist. PY, are you grateful for your therapist?
Of course, yes.
And so that disclosure alone, we both have our own individual therapists that we're working with, that support us in continuing to be the people that we are in the earth, knowing that it doesn't diminish us in any way, but it actually allows us to thrive in powerful ways and be the beings on this planet that we're able to be. And so we continue to encourage you to get the support that you need.
Yes.
While also praying, right? While also using your spiritual tools. They are not mutually exclusive. This is the month of May, and that means at the end of May in the United States, we celebrate the holiday of Memorial Day. CSC, as always, will be closed on Memorial Day weekend, so that means at the end of this month, we will not be streaming live for the last Sunday of this month. We trust that you will use that holiday to celebrate and take time as you would. For many of us, this sort of signals the beginning of summer, pools open up, etc. So we trust that you will do something that is life supporting, that is enlivening and supporting you in your care, self-care, and joy and celebration. Every third Sunday is God Talk Sunday, and the God Talk is your opportunity to ask questions. We know that as you walk this path, many, many questions will come up. We also know that as you walk this path, it's really a path of unlearning more than learning. It's not, as much as we amass information, we're really releasing so much that doesn't serve us. And so PY and I are here to support you in that process. We're here to support you in learning how to apply new thought, metaphysical principles and teachings to the real things that are happening in your life. As I always love to say, that if I can't apply these teachings to what's really going on in my life, it's worthless and I would throw it away. But what life has continued to show me over and over again is that these truths continue to be applicable. These truths continue to be true. But of course, we have to know how to apply the principles. We have to know how to make use of the laws and how to work with the universal laws of life. And so we're here to support you. No question is off limits, but of course you have to be in the space in order to ask the question. It is a virtual space happening via Zoom. And so if you're on our mailing list, then you will see in that weekly email on Friday the Zoom information for the God Talk. If you're not on our mailing list, then you definitely want to get on our mailing list. You'll see the information again throughout the stream with that number to text welcome and join our mailing list. Also here on YouTube and on Facebook, you'll see actually in the post, there's a link that takes you directly to that connection card. And so if you fill out that information and submit it, again, making sure that your email is one of the pieces that you share with us, then you will be on the mailing list and get the Zoom information for the God Talk. So please put that in your calendar. Make sure that you're there with us on the third Sunday at 1 p.m. Every month we highlight a series of the month, and I mentioned this series last month, and thank you, PY, for reminding me the other day about this. I think it's a wonderful series to revisit. This takes us all the way back to year one or two of Celebration Spiritual Center. Actually, yeah, it was year two. So the 2014 of Celebration Spiritual Center, February 2014, Write Your Own Love Song. last month we talked about the aspect of God as love. And so here in this series, PY and I actually co-teach this series. We give you some insight into our own relationship and how we broke up and got back together. But what we use are the titles of familiar love songs, and we reference love songs because unfortunately so many of the songs that we all know and love actually teach us the very opposite of love, that love hurts, that love is pain, et cetera, et cetera. And so I highly encourage you, if you've never tapped into this series, I think you'll be tickled as you watch this series, as you see a younger PG and PY, and also just to see how we play off of each other and how we teach some wonderful things about relationships. So if you're in the midst of a relationship and you're looking for some support and insight, or if you're desiring a relationship, I think this is also a good series for you to support you in the posture that you need to stand in as you attract that love into your life. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a wonderful opportunity to continue the momentum that we create on Sunday, and of course, to start the momentum with intention in the middle of the week. We share a reading, sometimes the daily word like we did today, and we pray and we move on with our day. Now, if this time does not work with your schedule, all good. Each prayer is recorded. You will miss the reading, but the prayer is recorded. And so you can tap into that prayer anytime, 24/7, by using the info you see there on your screen. Just call the playback number, enter the access code, and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. If you have a prayer request, please submit that prayer request to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. As the pastors of this organization, of this powerful spiritual center, PY and I are always holding the entire community in our hearts, knowing the highest and best for you. And we know that you may have a specific prayer request for yourself or for someone you know and love. By all means, send in that prayer request, and we will add them to the highest knowing. We will add them to the fold. And we also encourage you, as your prayers are answered, or as you are hearing how the prayers are answered for those whose names you've sent an email about, by all means, let us know how that prayer is being answered and how the power and presence of God is operating in, through, and as your life or their life. Finally, we encourage you to share, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can click the subscribe button now. If you're not following us on Facebook, Instagram, you can follow us right now, and we encourage you to, of course, also share as you see things posted from CSC, and your liking of those posts do support us in getting more eyes and ears and attention to what good things are happening here at Celebration Spiritual Center. And so that concludes our news and updates for this Sunday, which means that we have the wonderful opportunity now to go within as we are in a new month, and PY will lead us in a powerful awareness, a powerful knowing, as we deepen our contact with God through the meditation experience.
Yes, it is time. As PG said, it's a new month, a new opportunity to go within, a new opportunity to affirm something that is true for us. You see, the facts on the ground might be showing disturbance, dis-ease, discomfort, disharmony, but the truth of God within us is pointing us back to our peace. And so we take time every Sunday, purposefully, intentionally, to ground ourselves and to bring ourselves back into the awareness of truth. Facts on the ground might be one thing, but the truth of God within us is the thing. And so we take time to meditate, to align ourselves. And as I like to say, you can have all of this knowledge, and there are many people who possess knowledge, but they don't feel the truth of God alive within them. And this is the most important thing, that you know and connect to the God of your understanding within you. This month, as I said, I've looked around and I've noticed that there is a lot of disharmony, and there is war, and there is disturbance on the earth, and there is talk, and there is chatter, and there is clapback, and there is just confusion happening. And when we turn our attention to that, we lose our focus on the truth within us. And so this month, I want to remind you, I want to support you in remembering that the peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in you now. It is the thing that brings us back to the center when the world seems chaotic. It is the thing that sends us in the right direction when we feel uncertain. The peace of God was given to us when we entered this planet in a human body, and it has not gone away. That peace of God is shining in you now. The peace of God is shining in me now. And so whenever we bring ourselves back to this awareness, whenever we take the breath, whenever we close the eyelids, we can find that peace. Whenever we just let go of whatever is causing us to feel disconnected from God and only focused on what's out there, we find the peace of God shining so brightly. So let's go to that peace now, because it's always there. We just have to turn in the direction of it, and that's what we're going to do in our meditation experience. So go ahead, look around the room, notice where you are. I know where I am, in the physical space that might be different from where I'm used to being, but I know that I'm safe here as well. So plant the palms on the tops of the thighs. And from this place of aligning the ears over the shoulders, shoulders over the hips, we know that we are safe and aligned. And so go ahead and close the eyelids. And that simple act of closing the eyelids signals the brain and the body to follow inward. And let's just take a few rounds to just notice the breath right where it is. And whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. We place no judgment on the breath. We just observe the breath and remain in gratitude that it is moving, that it is signaling our body. With each round, we can relax more and more and more. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's take conscious control of the breath. For just like our thoughts, we can control its movement. We can send the breath anywhere in our body. And as we send the breath, we ignite the peace that is shining so brightly in us. Let's send our focus of attention and awareness into the low belly. So as you focus your thoughts there and send your breath there now, we will inhale together for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then just settle in and relax for 4. Together, inhaling now for a count of 4. And hold for 4. And relax the jaw, sigh it out, let it all go. Count of 4. And relax. Again, expanding the low belly as you inhale, making more room for breath and more room for God and more room for peace. Hold it there. And relax the jaw and sigh it out. And allow the peace as you relax. In through the low belly, now up through the rib cage, expanding the sides of the body, letting the breath take up more space. Hold it there. And whatever is keeping you from your peace, just sigh it out. And relax. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding the sides, and now the front and the back of the body. Hold it there. And without collapsing the body, just release the breath and the sound. Sigh it out. And settle in. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now allowing that breath to rise to the heart chakra, center of the chest. Hold it there. And releasing that sound, releasing any discord, any dis-ease, any disharmony. Sigh it out. And the peace takes over as we relax. And again, in through the low belly, connecting low breath to mid breath to all the way up to the heart. And when you reach there, hold. And sigh it out. As we intentionally slow the breath down, connecting low to mid to that heart chakra, we signal the body more and more relaxation. But let's slow it down even more. Inhaling in through the nostrils, allowing the breath to rise for a count of 6. And hold. And this time, close the lips and exhale through the nostrils. Count of 6. Just noticing as the breath is released that your body becomes more and more at peace. Let's take a few rounds of this deep, full, complete breath in and out through the nostrils. For this will be our form of breath work for the remainder of our meditative time. Allowing that breath to enter the nostrils, slow down and circulate through the system. Noticing it's slightly warmer on the exhale through the nostrils, for it has encountered the inner joy and inner peace as we release it. A few rounds on your own. For the peace of God is shining in you now. This peace that accompanied you on your birth has never left us. It is part of your birthright. It is shining in you now, and from your heart, it extends to those you love, those you do not know. It encircles the earth and returns to you. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's send this peace and this breath into the feet. Wherever your feet have traveled this week, the peace has gone with you, and it continues to shine and support and hold us on the earth. Let us relax the feet now and allow them to be nurtured by Mother Earth. Relax the feet. And let's send that energy up through the soles of the feet, across the ankles. Relax the ankles now. Energy flows across the shins and the calves. Go ahead, give yourself permission to experience the peace as you relax the shins and the calves. That energy flows across the knees. We are grateful for our knees and their flexibility. We allow the energy to relax our knees now. Energy flows across the thighs and the glutes and the hamstrings. Go ahead and relax the thighs, those glute muscles and the hamstrings, and just settle into the seat where you are, knowing that you're held and knowing that you are supported. Release the lower half of your body. That energy that is gathered at the base of the spine and is ready to travel upward is a shining light. For that light and that peace of God is shining in you now. Let it occupy each space within you. As you inhale and exhale through the nostrils, allow the peace. Inhale, exhale, and allow. Inhale. Peace is circulating and shining. Exhale. Inhale as the energy flows in and up. Exhale through the nostrils when you're ready. And the energy flows in and up and up and up. And out the crown of your head, you allow the peace that is within you to be a beacon shining, extending outside of you. And as we notice this peace, it extends from us and encircles the planet, extends beyond the planet to this galaxy and all galaxies known and unknown. And we connect with that peace. The peace of God is shining in us now. It is eternal. It cannot be extinguished. And so we allow it to flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, down the throat, across the shoulders. Imagine a gentle hand encouraging the shoulders to relax as it flows down the arms and out the fingertips. You are an open channel for the peace of God to shine within you and to shine outside of you. Go ahead and scan your body one last time. And without judgment, notice if there's still tension. It's okay. Send the breath there. Send the peace there. You may turn the palms up to receive more, or keep the palms turned down. It's your choice. I will monitor the time. You just take the inward journey. And if the mind wanders, be gentle with your wandering mind and allow the peace to take over. Any thought that is unlike this loving thought, you can let it go. And when you become aware, bring yourself back with breath, with love, and with peace. For the peace of God is shining in you now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in us all now. With our eyelids still closed, we remember that this peace is shining in our mind and extending to the world. That nothing that we see that causes temporary disturbance can eliminate or extinguish our peace. With our eyelids still closed, we remember that we can give the same peace, for wherever we go, it shines from within us. With our eyelids still closed, we get to enjoy how good it feels to remember that there's some light in this world that we bring with us. There is peace in this world that we bring with us. If the palms are turned up, go ahead and turn them down. And go ahead and maybe you wiggle the fingers and the toes, just to gently begin to wake the body. Stop the movement. And bring the shoulders up by the ears with a nice inhale through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils as you release the shoulders back and down. Inhaling up. Exhale as you release the shoulder blades nice and gently back and down. Gentle movement. Inhale up. Exhale as we release the shoulder blades back and gently lower them down. Stop the movement and bring the palms together at heart center. Bow the chin towards the fingertips, pausing to notice that gentle opening at the base of the neck and all the way down the spine. And from this posture of gratitude and openness, allow the eyelids to gently open. Nice, soft gaze, no strain on the eyes or the experience. Inhale, raise the gaze. Exhale, release the breath. Maintain the peace. Namaste.
Yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
The peace of God is shining in us now. It'll be wonderful as we continue week to week to deepen our awareness. As a reminder, Mondays are Meditation Monday, and so this meditation will be available individually. It will re-air again tomorrow at noon, so you can tap into that. And of course, it's a wonderful way to share with those that you want to share the powerful meditation experience that happens here at CSC every week. Well, we are in a new month, and although we are not doing a new series, we are continuing our 7-week series that we began last month, based on and inspired by the 7 main aspects of God by Emmett Fox. And so we're going to look at the last 3 aspects this month. And I will be speaking to you today from the topic Undivided. But first, of course, we're going to hear from Soul 21, and I'll see you on the other side.
And so this song is a prayer to be used. Because if God can use anything, I know that God can use me. If God can use anything, I know God can use you. And all that is required is your receptivity to say, here I am, I'm available. Use me. There's a call for love. Everywhere we see out in the world, the injustice, the discrimination, the hatred, all of the foolishness, it's a call for love. And love can only be experienced in, through, and as each and every one of us. So we say yes to God as love to express through us. If you can use anything, you can use me. To encourage me. So I want to be used in the same way.
Take my hands, Lord, and my feet.
Touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak through me.
If you can use anything.
You can use anything, Lord, you can use me.
Can we pause? If you can use anything.
You can use anything, Lord, you can use me.
I make myself available.
Lord, you can use me.
I hear the call of love. that again, and feel free to join in. If you can use anything,
Use anything, Lord, you can use me.
here I am, here I am.
Use anything, Lord, you can use me.
The world needs so much love, so take my
Take my
hands,
hands, Lord, and my feet.
touch my heart.
My heart, Lord, speak through me.
You can use.
You can use anything, Lord.
You're gonna stay right there. You can use anything.
You can use
Anything.
Lord, you can use me.
I make myself available.
Use anything, Lord, you can use
It
me.
just requires our yes. Take my hands and my feet.
Take my hands, Lord, and my feet.
Touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak to me.
Take my hands.
Take my hands, Lord, and my feet.
Touch my heart.
Touch my heart, Lord, speak to me.
All that I
Take
am.
my hands, Lord, and
My
my
gifts,
feet.
my skills, my talents, my abilities. I bring them here right now. Right now.
My heart, Lord, speak.
Take my hands. Take my hands.
Take my
And
hands
my feet.
and my feet.
Touch my heart. Speak through me. I'm bringing all that I am. All that I have. I'm making it available. Oh, take me up. Take my hands.
Take my
And
hands
my feet.
and my feet.
Touch my heart. Oh, take my hand and my feet.
And my feet.
Touch my heart. Take me up. Take me up. Oh, I'm available. I'm available. Just as I am. Just as I am. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be added. But as I am, I'm available to be used by love, to be used for good, to be used for peace. I make myself available. You can use.
Anything, Lord, you can use me.
If you can use.
You can use anything, Lord, you can use me.
I invite you to just consider all of the things, all of the anythings that have been used in your life, all of the anythings that have spoken to you, all of the anythings that have encouraged you.
Lord, you can use.
You can be used in the very same way, in the very same way, in the very same way. Yeah. When you see what's going on in this world, and when it causes you dismay, when it causes you not to feel good, that's the call within you. The call for you as you are right now. Nothing needs to be added. But as you are right now, life is seeking to express through you, to be good through you, to be love through you, to be peace through you, to be a loving word through you, to be an encouraging word through you, to be a demonstration, to be a lighthouse, pointing someone to the way that they too can be healed, that they too can be successful, that they too can change their lives, that they too can change their minds. Anything, yeah. Oh.
Use anything, Lord, you can use me.
I make myself available. Here I am, just as I am.
Lord, you can use.
Here I am, just as I am. I make myself available. That's all that life ever asks. That's the only requirement. It's for you to bring yourself as you are and say, use me. If you can use anything, you can use anything.
Anything, Lord, you can use me.
So it is. So it is. So it is.
goodness. Yes, 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 yes. If you can use anything, life, love, Lord, you can use me. Take my hands and my feet, touch my heart, Lord, speak through me. Oh, that song is so powerful. I was over here just humming and singing along. So grateful and thankful for Soul 21. So grateful and thankful for that song. So grateful and thankful for the CSC band. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are in the world. I know that it is good. It is good to be here with each and every one of you. For those who may not have been here at the beginning of the stream, you may see that I'm in a different location. There is work being done in our apartment and we have to be away for the month. So PY and I received the inspired idea to actually take this time and have a workcation, if you will, and come down to the beautiful island of Barbados. And so we are connecting to you and streaming to you live from this beautiful island. Well, let us begin as we always do by grounding ourselves with a prayer. And so I invite you to repeat these words after me. I welcome the Spirit of truth into my mind and let it grow in my heart. Thank you, God, in me, through me, and as me. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. Well, as a review, we are in our series, Tell Me About Your God, and we have looked at the first 4 aspects from the 7 main aspects of God written by Emmett Fox. Week 1 through 3, we looked at life, truth, and love as aspects of God. And last week in week 4, we looked at intelligence, and I spoke from the sermon topic, My Intelligence. And there we shared from Emmett Fox, God is not merely intelligent, but God is intelligence itself. When you clearly realize that this is an intelligent universe, it will make a major difference in your life. One of the affirmations that I shared last week is the intelligence that brought forth this universe is the intelligence of my mind today. God's intelligence is my intelligence. And one of the other things that Emmett Fox writes there in that section is when you dwell upon one of these aspects, you are developing that quality in yourself. And I think this is very important for the entire series, right? This is not just an intellectual or academic exercise to look at other ways to think about and talk about God, but it's actually important for us to look at that so that we can develop these qualities within ourselves. Similarly, when you think of that aspect as being in another person, you develop that quality in them. So what are the 7 aspects that we're looking at and working with for this series? Well, again, we have life, truth, love, intelligence, soul, spirit, and principle. And so here in the 5th week, we're going to look at that 5th aspect of soul. And Emmett Fox writes, the 5th main aspect of God is soul, and it is spelled with a capital S. Do not confuse this with the soul that is spelled with a small s, which is what modern psychology calls the psyche, and is another name for your human mind, which consists of your intellect and your feelings. He goes on and writes, soul is that aspect of God by virtue of which God is able to individualize itself. And here's a powerful awareness, what he writes next. This is so important and why this series is titled Undivided. He writes, the word individual means undivided. See Webster's, he says. Most people seem to think that it means the exact contrary. It suggests separateness to them, but they are mistaken. Individual means undivided, and God has the power of individualizing itself without, so to speak, breaking itself into parts. And I just want to note here, as I'm reading this, I'm quoting from the text, but I'm doing something that I do so often and try to remove the masculine use of God as he and him. So you hear me say God breaking itself into parts or individualizing itself, where he says himself. I've changed that to itself. So just something to note, particularly if you purchase a copy of the text, it's something that, again, for your hearing and for your listening, I always want to take that that time to do that. But let this sink in for a second. The word individual means undivided. Individual means undivided, and God has the power of individualizing itself without, so to speak, breaking itself into parts. And if you go to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, you'll see it's not the first definition, it's the third definition, but more importantly, the root, when you look at the Latin roots of the word, takes us to what we would use in English as indivisible or undivided, right? That actually for something to be individual, it's saying it's whole. It's a whole and complete thing, a whole and complete entity, a whole and complete being. And this inner knowing, this is the inner knowing that we invoke all the time. You hear me say it in almost every prayer. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That is a statement that's saying that God is individual, is indivisible, is undivided, and yet it has the power to individualize and particularize itself as you, I, trees, insects, plants, grass, birds, etc. It is undivided, it is indivisible. And ultimately, this is what this is affirming. It's the truth that we also can never be separate from our source because it cannot be broken into parts. So if we are one with God, we are one with that indivisible whole. We are one with that individual whole. We are one with this aspect of God that the word that Fox uses here is soul. And so this is what it means to know and understand God as soul. You may recall, as I've taught this in previous lessons and sermons, that in the Bible, in the First Testament, the word that is translated into English as Lord, actually in the Bible, there are many different Hebrew words that are used. So we have the word Jehovah, we have Elohim, we have what we say in English as Yahweh, but what should actually be referred to as the Tetragrammaton, just YHWH, right? It's a name that can't be uttered. But what's important here to understand, if we think about this idea of God being soul, and soul meaning that God is individualized and undivided, well, this is what's pointing to the very meaning of Jehovah. Jehovah means self-existing one. It's another way to talk about the wholeness and the indivisible nature of this thing that we call God. And then you have Yahweh, which in Hebrew tradition you would say is the true name for God that can't be uttered. And it's derived from a verb that means to be, to exist, to cause, to become, or to come to pass. And so what I've said in the past is that in truth, God is a verb. Right? And so understanding this idea that soul individualizes itself, that soul is actively doing something, it's actively creating. In the Tao Te Ching, we hear that same idea being invoked, endlessly pulsating, endlessly creating. The spirit of the valley never dies. We understand that it indicates being, it indicates becoming, it indicates expression and expressing, which is exactly who and what God is and what God does. And so as I sat with this understanding, I recognized that the use of the word soul can be misconstrued or just plain confusing. In fact, this is why Fox was so clear to point that out, as I read earlier, that he's referring to capital S soul and not lowercase soul, which in modern psychology would in some cases refer to the psyche. And so today, I would like to use a different word altogether that I think even Fox, if he were alive, would adopt this, particularly given the understanding that we have today through the quantum physics, that the word that's, I think, more appropriate to use in this context is consciousness. And so this fifth main aspect of God, God is consciousness. Because consciousness is undivided. Consciousness is indivisible. Consciousness is the ground of all being. And so as we move through this sermon, that's the word that I will use. I will use consciousness instead of soul. Even as I go back to Fox's reading, I'm going to change that word soul to consciousness. So what is consciousness? Well, this gave me a wonderful opportunity to go back to two teachers that I love. One, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, We're going to look at something from his seminal text, Science of Being and Art of Living, and also a beautiful soul, Amit Goswami, who's a renowned quantum physicist. If you've seen, for instance, the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, and maybe even other movies that he's been featured in, or read any one of his texts, like The Psychics of the Soul and so many other wonderful texts, he is a powerful teacher that brings us this profound awareness of understanding consciousness from the scientific and the spiritual level. And so Maharishi Mahesh Yogi writes this about consciousness. Consciousness is the radiation from the center of pure being. For example, the electrical current from a battery reaches the light bulb and radiates out as a beam of light. As the beam proceeds further from its source, its intensity diminishes until it reaches a limit when the light may be said to be nil or nothing. Likewise, from the inexhaustible battery of being, bliss consciousness radiates, and as it proceeds further from its source, the degree of bliss diminishes. I love this image, and Fox kind of points to this metaphor as well in his text. To understand something, so often when we hear this idea of us being one with God, and we hear this idea that we're divine, we're looking at the limited nature of being human. Right? We're looking at the fact that human beings are fallible. We're looking at the fact that you can be cut and bleed, right? We look at the fact that eventually our human existence will end. And so when we're looking at that, we're saying there's no way that we could be divine. But what Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is explaining to us is that the center of our being is consciousness. The center of our being is absolute divinity. And so God is beaming itself, radiating itself out into the world that then expresses as you and I. And so just as we understand that the further away the light moves from its source, the strength of that light would diminish. So that is a way for us to understand why there appears to be this stark difference between the expression that we are here on this plane of existence versus the reality of who and what we are on the spiritual plane of existence. Now, Amit Goswami writes this about consciousness. Consciousness is not mind. It is the ground of all being, the ground of both matter and mind. Matter and mind are both possibilities of consciousness. And of course, that word, invoking that word possibilities, is important as we think about quantum theory, right? And so the truth is that, as I always love to say, you are God's good idea, that it contemplated you, it thought about you. You were a possibility in the mind of God, and that possibility was good. And as it began to contemplate and think about you, it then radiated out, first in the realm of idea and mind, and eventually here in the realm of matter, that you are now a physical being. Now, he writes in his text, Psychics of the Soul, consciousness, not matter, is the ground of all being. It is a monism based on a consciousness that is unitive and transcendent, but one that becomes many in sentient beings such as us. So this points us back to what Emmett Fox was saying. This idea that consciousness is individualized, undivided, but it expresses itself and never loses itself. It's never broken apart. And so here Goswami is saying the same thing. It becomes many in sentient beings like us. We are that consciousness. All the world of experience out here in this field of time and space, including matter, is the material manifestation of transcendent forms of consciousness. And so as we go back to Fox, he then talks about this idea takes us deeper into understanding that matter cannot be individualized. And he writes, God individualizes itself as humanity. And so you are really an individualization of God. Take a breath. You are an individualized, particularized, undivided expression of God. God can individualize itself in an infinite number of distinct beings or units of consciousness, and yet not be in any way separate. Only God can do this because God is spirit. Matter cannot be individualized. It can only be broken up. So here, again, we're hearing similar things being said, right? Where Goswami talks about this idea that this thing that we call consciousness, it's unity, it's transcendent, but it becomes many, right? Including beings like us. What does Fox say? He says the same thing. God can individualize itself in an infinite number of distinct beings, units of consciousness, and yet never be in any way separate. And again, we have a hard time wrapping our minds around that because matter, this physical world and all the stuff that we deal with, cannot be individualized. It can only be broken up. And so Fox uses the example here in the text of take a piece of paper, right? You have a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. It's a whole sheet of paper. As soon as you tear it in half, you now have 2 pieces of paper. It's broken up. It's not whole. If you take those 2 pieces and tear them in half, you now have 4 pieces. You do not have a undivided whole anymore. And in fact, even if you think about the paper itself is already a continuation of that reality because the paper was originally a tree. Right? Or a set of trees that was broken up to become something else, to become something separate, to become a stack of pages, right? A ream of pages. And so when we're thinking about the physical world, when we're thinking about matter, it's important to remember, yes, matter cannot be individualized, but in the spiritual plane, the metaphysical plane, what we know is that the source of life is undivided. Again, hence is why we have the idea that Jehovah is the self-existing one. Hence why we have this idea that Yahweh is a verb, an action word that is being, that is becoming, that is expressing, but never exhausting itself. And of course, as I referred earlier, our human bodies are the same way. Our human bodies cannot be individualized. They can only be separated. But here's the good news. Because we are spiritual beings having what? A human experience. And herein lies the secret to our ability to create on this plane of existence in a way that is similar to how consciousness creates all manifested experience in life. Fox writes here, your real self, the Christ within, the spiritual being, the I am, or the divine spark, as it is variously called, is an individualization of God. You are the presence of God at the point where you are. So this is why we affirm things like wherever I am, that's where God is and all is well. Why? Because of this understanding of consciousness that you are the presence of God at the point where you are. That means that all of that power, all of that good, all of that abundance, that awareness of consciousness that can become anything, that expresses itself as an infinite number of distinct beings or units of consciousness, that becomes from its transcendent space many sentient beings, that becomes any and everything that we look at as manifested life. That point of power, that point of creation is always, always right where you are. And I want to give you another way to think about this. And this is a spiritual idea. It's a way that we see that mathematics, as we talked about a few weeks ago, the idea that God is truth, right? And truth is not conditional. So one of the beautiful things is I love the way mathematics aligns with these spiritual truths, right? Because it's not fact, it's truth. And so you may remember when you took geometry in high school, you may remember learning about the circle, right? And of course, you have a circle, the outside of the circle, you measure its circumference, right? And you learn to draw a line from the center of the circle outside to the circumference of the circle, and that's the radius. And one of the other things that you learn in geometry is that an infinite number of lines can be drawn through the center of the circle. And so this is one of the reasons why the circle is a holy and sacred aspect of geometry, because it's teaching us this very same idea that the center of the circle is consciousness, but an infinite number of lines can continue to be drawn from it out to the circumference of the circle. The outside circumference of the circle is like our manifested plane of existence, or our manifested plane of life. And so this mathematical truth represents a spiritual truth. God, consciousness, is the center of the circle, the source. It projects itself out to the circumference of the circle, which is what we know as our plane of existence, and it infinitely expresses itself out as all manifested life. But as spiritual beings, having a human experience, what we have the opportunity to do is to tune ourselves to that inner connection. See, look, thinking about this example, you have the circle. The center of the circle is the source, is consciousness itself. What most of us are doing as we are sitting at that edge of the circle, which is our expression of life, that individual line is each of our individual expressions, as well as the individual expressions of plants and animals and galaxies and universes. And we're looking outward. But as spiritual beings, we have the opportunity to tune ourselves to the inner connection. And so what are we always being admonished to do as spiritual beings? To go within, to look within, that the point of power is within. Instead of living from the edge of the circle facing outward, we learn to live life facing back to the center of the circle where there is rejuvenation. We turn to the center of the circle where there is insight. We turn to the center of the circle where there is richness of experience that reinvigorates us. And then when we project outward, when we turn back to experience and live life, we are now bringing all of that out with us. We then project that outward into our plane of existence, much in the same way that consciousness projects its light from the center as expressing as you, expressing as me, and expressing as all manifested life, or what we would call reality, lowercase r. And so Fox continues, and he writes that divine mind becomes self-conscious in you. And then he goes on to say something very powerful and profound, and I guarantee this is something that some of you have never heard, what I'm going to share with you, and how we're going to bring this together. This is going to turn you on. To realize in some degree that you are an individualization of God could not possibly make you egotistic or vain. So that's important. I know some people struggle with that, right? This idea of I am one with God, I'm an individualization of God. It's like, oh no, am I going to develop a God complex? Oh, or those people over there teaching some form of spiritual narcissism. And unfortunately, some people take it to that plane, and that's not what's being said. He goes on. On the contrary, it would give you true humility and at the same time, true self-confidence. And indeed, it is the only pathway to the overcoming of fear. And the part that I say that's really going to turn you on here is, of course, for those that have ears to hear, you already know this should remind you of A Course in Miracles. You've heard Pastor Yolanda talk often, so many times about the idea of true humility and what A Course in Miracles teaches. This is in alignment with what A Course in Miracles teaches. And there's something in lesson 197 that's powerful, because in 197 it says, you think God's gifts are loans at best. Lord have mercy. I want to say that again to make sure you hear it. You think God's gifts are loans at best. And I think this is then what leads to false humility. And this is definitely what leads to people being narcissistic, egotistic, and vain with these spiritual truths. That's the root of any lack of self-confidence, because you think this thing is on loan. And when you think it's on loan, that means you think God and the divine and life itself is stingy. If you think it's on loan, you think that this presence and this power, you being told that you are an individualization of God, you being told that divine mind becomes self-conscious in you, you being told that you are the presence of God at the point where you are. It's like I could mess that up, or you could say that that could be taken away from me because I messed up, because I made a mistake, because I forgot something, because I didn't do my morning practice yesterday, because I forgot to pray, because I forgot to use my 555, because I forgot to use my 3-column prayer, because I didn't affirm supposedly the right way, right? But God's gifts are not loans. What we're talking about here, this consciousness is who and what you are. It is a gift of God, and an individualization of God being who and what you are. It is not temporary, it is not conditional, and it is not contextual. This is an absolute spiritual truth. And this truth, then, as A Course in Miracles says, must be received with honor. And so that's what puts you in the space of true humility, and at the same time, as Fox says, self-confidence. Because I know who I am. I'm not vain, I'm not egotistical, and I'm definitely not narcissistic, but I understand who and whose I am. I understand what it is that I'm connected to. I'm not living my life at the edge of the circumference, looking out to the outside world for proof of who and what I am, but I'm looking within and I know already that I matter. I look within and I know already that I'm prosperous. I look within and I know already that I'm abundant. I look within and I know already that I'm supported. I look within and I know already that I have clarity. Look within and I know already that I'm guided. I look within and I know that every problem has been solved. I look within and I know that I am rich. I look within and I know that I am wealthy. Look within and I know that I am cared for. I look within and there is no thing to fear. This is true humility, the end of false humility, and at the same time, the development of self-confidence. Lord, have mercy. So how do we use this truth? How do we begin to operate in it? Well, Emmett Fox writes that the aspect of God as consciousness is the one to realize when you are called upon to perform some task or undertake some responsibility that seems too great for you. You recognize, oh, consciousness is operating in, through, and as me. I turn within. He says the person concerned should work on the aspect of God as consciousness, realizing that she is an individualization of God and that therefore God works through her. When you realize that you are one with God, he writes, the task becomes our business instead of my business, because God is your partner. This is why I love the idea and the term co-creation. I love that Abraham Hicks over and over and over is always bringing us to the reality that we are co-creating, that consciousness is your partner. And when I began to think about, I quote Byron Katie often, because she writes about this idea that there's three types of business. There's your business, my business, and God's business, right? And I need to stay out of God's business. I need to stay out of your business and stay in my business. But here Fox is introducing a fourth business. Because if I bring myself and stay in my business, then as I get involved in my business, I understand that my business, God's business, is in my business. I understand that I am one with consciousness itself. And so now the only business that I'm worried about, thinking about, focused on is this our business with my divine partner, Mother, Father, God. He uses a great example here, a beautiful metaphor, to understand how consciousness is working through us. And he writes, the fingers of the great pianist are not in business for themselves, so to speak. His fingers are not independent. They are part of himself. They express him on the keys, and they do not have to bother to think which note they ought to strike or wonder if they will be able to do it. They know that they will find themselves striking the right note because the master plays through them or by means of them. God is God, and someone aptly said, and humanity the by means of. Right? This is the beautiful understanding why divine mind becomes self-conscious in you. This is the beautiful understanding that you are the presence of God at the point where you are. You are an individualization of God. I was saying to someone, and I think it might have been to the Multi-Manifestor group a few weeks ago, if I had to rely on myself, I don't know what I would do. Right? When I think about all the things that I have the beautiful opportunity to do and be on the world, I never worry about a sermon, where it's coming from, or what's going to happen. Why? Because I recognize that there is consciousness operating in, through, and as me. I'm never worried about projects and things that I have to implement at work because I know there's consciousness operating in, through, and as me. I never worry about where the next song is coming from, where the next idea is coming from, where the next course is coming from. I never worry about any of that. I just stay open and recognize that I'm connected to a well that won't run dry. This infinite consciousness that expresses itself and is never broken up into parts. So it's not like a piece of paper. It's not like, oh, well, God gave me a quarter of the page, and so I got to do something with this, and I only have 4 pieces left. Let me see. It doesn't work like that. Consciousness is infinite. Consciousness is infinite. And so what Fox describes here using the metaphor of the great pianist is what Maharishi Mahesh Yogi calls God consciousness, which is the space that we all get to live in. All of us at different points in our lives tap into it, have a spark of it, a flash, a moment. So often, this is what's talked about and written about if you hear athletes talking about being in the zone, right? They're tapping into this space of consciousness operating through and as them. The great hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, he talked about this idea of knowing where the puck would be before it gets there. That's the idea of tapping into the zone, right? And so there's something within him that's giving him information and seeing beyond his human ability to see. And this is then what we often refer to as stage 3 and 4 living when we look at the stages of spiritual consciousness as brought to us by Michael Beckwith. That stage 3 is the through me stage. It is not I, but it is the Father within, as Jesus as quoted as saying. And then stage 4 is the as me stage. I am one with God. And when you understand that oneness with consciousness and understand what consciousness is, and understand that this aspect, as we talk about life, truth, love, and intelligence, and now consciousness, we understand who our partner is. We understand that it's our business, thank God. But the only way you get to the our business way of living is you got to turn within, and you got to turn within daily. You must shut out this external world on a daily basis, because this external world is only temporary information. This external world is limited information. This external world, as beautiful as it may be, and we must fully experience it, but we must be present to the reality that the external world is simply a manifestation of something greater. Everything out here in this external world is temporary. It goes through that state of birth, life, decay, or birth, activity, decay, and death. Right? And then, of course, that ending is a new beginning. And so, in closing, God is consciousness. Consciousness is individualized, meaning not that it's separate, but meaning that it is undivided and indivisible. It gives of itself and never loses of itself. This is again why in scripture we read love never exhausts itself. I referred to that passage, right? Love never fails doesn't tell us what that's really saying. Love never ends or never exhausts itself. It gives and never loses anything. But powerfully enough, you are an individualized, particularized, undivided expression of God, of consciousness. I want to leave you with this quote from Amit Goswami. If ordinary people really knew that consciousness, not matter, is the link that connects us with each other and the world, then their views about war and peace, environmental pollution, social justice, religious values, and all other human endeavors would change radically. Let it be so, let it be so, let it be so. And if you would like to deepen your study this week as you come back to this message, I was reminded there are 2 sermons. One from the Reimagine the Bible series, the Book of Psalms, week 1. That sermon is titled Welcome to the Neighborhood. I talk about consciousness and I break down 3 very specific attributes of consciousness. And I think that sermon is a wonderful companion to this sermon today. And then also the final sermon of a series, Thou Art That. And that sermon in week 4 is titled Finding God. I invite you to go back to both of those series because I think it'll deepen and reawaken even more your understanding that God is consciousness and you are the presence of God at the point where you are, that you are an individualized, particularized, undivided expression of God. And I echo the words of Amit Goswami that if we come to know this, that it is consciousness that is the ground of our being and the thing that links us all, that binds us all. Yesterday was Star Wars Day. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda explained it the same way. They were talking about consciousness. It's the thing that binds us all. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. When we come to understand that truth, it would radically change how we operate in the world. Let it be so, let it be so. And to this beautiful truth, I say amen, ashe, and so it is.
Ah, yes, yes. If you understood this truth, you would radically change the way you walk on the earth. This message should make you sit up straight. This message should make you, every time you pass a mirror, know what is passing the mirror. Yeah. That this is God walking on the earth. That it is animating every cell of your being. That every gift you have is not given to you on loan. No, you are not that small. In fact, you are that great. Take this message, come back to it this week. There's so much here to unpack, so much here to make you live and see yourself differently, to make you realize that you are not alone, that you are connected to something infinite, that you are its individualized expression, that everything that you ever thought you needed out there is already in you. Yep. It is so, so powerful that you understand that you are not separate from God. Yeah. That means everything, the answers are there within you. The peace is there within you. The prosperity, the thing that guides you to that next step is there. You don't have to be afraid.
Yes, yes.
You have to allow yourself to be that great. Thank you, PG.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so I look forward to continuing this series as we move throughout the month. As you can see here on your screen, this is the time for giving, and you've seen the information on your screen throughout the stream. It's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to celebrationsc.org/give, our website, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum to text to give. And we know and we understand that giving is a spiritual practice. We know and understand that we give what feels good, right? That there has to be a vibration behind the giving. We also know that giving precedes and predetermines our receiving. And so a closed hand cannot receive, right? It's important to always understand that. And so to the extent that whatever it is that you're seeking to receive in your life, you must create avenues of circulation, and that starts with an open hand. And this is one of the things that we love about CSC being at that sort of space and that opportunity to practice giving. I was reminded this week of a conversation we had in our first year with a volunteer that felt reticent about giving a giving envelope, putting it in someone's hand. And that was one of the things that we talked about with that particular person and with all of our volunteers, is to recognize and understand that, one, you're giving someone the opportunity to give to a place that you love, right? To give to a place that is supporting your spiritual growth and unfoldment, and also supporting that space to be here in years to come for others to have that experience. But also, you are supporting that person in opening their hand. You are supporting that person in actually preparing to receive. Because as we give, we receive. Giving and receiving are one in truth. They go together. As soon as you're giving, get yourself, move into the receptive mode. And so all of this is important as we think about giving. All of this is important as we think about how we give versus what we give. And so when we give from this consciousness, when we give from this awareness, then we can absolutely say without hesitancy, that all the money that I use
All the money that I use
returns to me multiplied
returns to me multiplied
in a never-ending cycle
in a never-ending cycle
of increase
and
enjoyment.
enjoyment.
To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. Yes, yes. Well, we are so very grateful to be here with you. We're grateful for another Sunday. No matter where we are, God is. No matter where we are, the power is. It is flowing. And I'm grateful for the power of this service and the beauty that we have co-created together. We trust that you will have an amazing remainder of your Sunday. Let's get together again on Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Momentum Prayer Call. And then let's meet together back here online for the weekend service as we continue to deepen our awareness of the truth of who and what God is, which is the truth of who and what you are. We love you. We appreciate you. Bye for now.
Bye for now.